I never planned to go back there. But the letter came out of nowhere. No return address, just my name written in familiar handwriting I hadn't seen in years. My hand shook as I opened it, standing in my small apartment with the sound of city traffic outside. "Come to the farm," it said. It said, "There's something here that belongs to you." That was all. No signature, but I knew the writing. Lucas Holland. I hadn't thought about him in a decade. Not since that summer I swore I'd never look back. But his words stirred something old. Curiosity, guilt, and a strange warmth I thought I'd buried. I told myself it was just a trip, just a short drive. But the truth was, part of me wanted answers. By the time I reached the countryside, the sun was dipping low behind endless fields. The road narrowed until it turned into gravel, and there it was, the old white farmhouse, still standing tall among golden grass and lazy cows. The sign read, "Holland Family Farm." My heart skipped. I remembered laughing here, running through the fields, drinking fresh milk from glass bottles. I remembered Lucas's voice, his quiet confidence, the way he looked at me before I left without a word. Now I was back, and I didn't know why. I parked by the fence and stepped out. The air smelled of rain and hay. The porch creaked as I walked up and knocked on the door. It opened slowly, and there he was, older now, but still him. Same brown eyes, same quiet expression that said 100 things without a single word. He froze for a second, then smiled softly. "You came," he said. "I got your letter," I replied. My voice was steadier than I felt. "You said something belonged to me." He nodded, his eyes studying me like he wasn't sure I was real. "Come in. There's something you need to see." The house hadn't changed. The same old clock ticked on the wall. The same smell of baked bread and warm milk filled the air. I felt like time had folded, bringing me back to a place I didn't know I missed until now. Martha, his mother, appeared from the kitchen, older but still glowing with kindness. "My goodness," she said, holding my hand. "Look at you, after all these years." Her smile faded just slightly as she looked at Lucas. Something passed between them, something unspoken. Lucas motioned for me to follow. We walked down the hall, past the guest room, past the photographs on the wall. Some I knew, Martha and Tom smiling under the oak tree, and one caught my eye. It was Lucas standing beside a woman I didn't recognize. She had kind eyes and was holding a baby. "Your wife?" I asked quietly. Lucas paused. "Was," he said. "She passed 3 years ago." The air in the hallway thickened. I wanted to say something, anything, but words didn't come. He opened a small door at the end of the hall. It led to a study, papers, old books, and a single wooden box sat on the desk. He picked up the box and handed it to me. "This was found after Dad passed," he said. "It's yours." I opened it slowly. Inside were letters, dozens of them. My letters. The ones I wrote to Lucas years ago, but never sent. I looked up at him, confused. "How did you get these?" He ran a hand through his hair, exhaling. "Your mother gave them to mine. She said you didn't want me to read them back then." My stomach turned. "My mother?" He nodded. "She came here after you left, said it was better this way, that you were moving on." I couldn't breathe for a moment. My mother had hidden them. My words, my confessions, my goodbye. I pulled out one letter and saw my own handwriting trembling across the page. "I love you, Lucas, but I can't stay. I'm scared of what we could become." He looked at me carefully. "I waited for years. I thought you changed your mind." The words hit hard, soft but deep. I tried to speak, but the sound of footsteps interrupted. Martha stood in the doorway holding 2 glasses of milk. "I thought you might need this," she said gently, setting them down. I took a sip out of habit. Warm, comforting, achingly familiar. And for a second, the years between us disappeared. Lucas's voice broke the silence. "There's one more thing," he said quietly. He opened a drawer and pulled out a photograph of me standing on the porch from years ago, smiling with a glass of milk in hand. "Dad kept this," he said. "He said the day you left was the day everything changed." I stared at the photo, my heart pounding. "Why?" I whispered. Lucas's eyes met mine. "Because," he said slowly, "that day wasn't an accident. Someone made sure you'd never come back." The glass nearly slipped from my hand. "What do you mean?" I asked. He hesitated, his voice low. "You should probably sit down before I tell you." I sank into the old wooden chair, the box of letters on my lap, and suddenly the farmhouse faded around me. My mind carried me back 10 years. It was summer, hot and golden. I was running barefoot across the field, chasing the sound of laughter. Lucas was already there, leaning against the fence with that quiet smile I'd never forgotten. "You're late," he said, though he was smiling. I wasn't, I argued, though I was smiling too. We had met by accident. I'd gotten lost on a small hiking trail near the farm. He had been the only one to notice, offering a hand and a bottle of cold milk. I had laughed when he insisted I drink it. "It's the best," he said, "better than any store stuff." And somehow it was true. That first sip had felt like summer itself. Warm, alive, unforgettable. We spent that day wandering through fields, talking about everything and nothing. I told him about my dreams, my fear of leaving the city behind. He listened, patient and attentive like he had all the time in the world. "You're afraid of what might happen," he said, "but you're already missing what's here." I frowned. "You think I can just stay?" He shrugged. "I don't know. I just know that when someone belongs somewhere, they feel it." It was a line I carried with me, repeating it in my head for months after I left. Over the summer, we became inseparable. Early mornings milking the cows, afternoons in the orchard picking apples, evenings lying in the grass, watching stars emerge one by one. Every laugh, every touch, every glance left a mark. We even had our little traditions. Lucas would bring me a glass of milk every morning before work. I would tease him about it, calling it his secret potion, but I secretly looked forward to it more than anything else. Then came the day that broke everything. I had gotten a call from the city, a sudden job opportunity I couldn't refuse. Excited, I told Lucas, expecting him to be happy. Instead, I found worry in his eyes, silent but sharp. I can't stop you. "I'll be back," I insisted. "It's just for a few months." But months stretched into years. I kept writing letters, pouring everything out, sending them into the wind, never knowing if they arrived. And he never wrote back. I blamed him for a long time. I thought he didn't care. I thought I'd lost him because of silence, because of misunderstanding, because I wasn't brave enough to fight for us. Back in the farmhouse, I flipped another letter open. My handwriting trembled as I read. "I love you, Lucas. I don't want to leave, but I have no choice. Don't forget me." A sharp pain hit me. I had sent these, yet he claimed he never received them. And now, seeing him in front of me, older but familiar, I realized how much we'd both suffered in the space between words. Lucas's voice cut through my thoughts. "I never got these." I blinked. "What do you mean?" "All these letters?" He shook his head slowly. "Your mother. She gave them to mine, but only after she thought it was too late. The pieces started to fall into place. My letters hadn't been lost. They'd been hidden. My own mother had decided for me, deciding what I should or shouldn't know about him." "I can't believe this," I whispered. "All these years?" "Then." Lucas reached out, a gentle hand brushing mine. "I waited anyway," he said, "because something told me we'd meet again." My mind drifted again to the day I left. I remembered the rain, the weight of the suitcase in my hands, the hollow ache in my chest. Lucas had stood there silently, his eyes wet, his hand raised as if to reach for mine, but not quite moving. We had left each other in silence, thinking it was what the other wanted. Miscommunication had turned love into distance. Silence had turned hope into regret. And now, sitting across from him, holding the proof of our lost years, I realized it had never been over. Not really. I picked up one final letter, the envelope slightly yellowed. As I opened it, a small photograph fell out. It was a picture of Lucas, young, smiling, holding a small calf. The back of the photo had a note in my mother's handwriting. "Keep this safe. One day she will return." I stared at it, heart racing. My mother had known. She had known I would come back, that fate would pull me here. And yet she had chosen to wait to test me, perhaps, or protect me. Lucas leaned closer, eyes curious. "What is it?" I held the photo carefully, feeling a strange mixture of anger and wonder. "It's proof," I said softly. "Proof that someone wanted us apart, but also proof that we were meant to find each other." He smiled faintly, though a shadow of concern lingered. "Then maybe it's not too late." I swallowed hard, realizing the truth. Everything we lost, everything that kept us apart, it might just be a fragment of a larger story waiting to be rewritten. And then, at the edge of the study, I noticed something else. A small key taped to the inside of the drawer with a note that simply said, "For when the time is right." I looked at Lucas. "What do you think this opens?" His eyes widened slightly, just enough to hint at the adventure ahead. And suddenly, the past didn't feel like a memory anymore. It felt like a door waiting to be opened. I stepped into the sunlight, the farmhouse glowing against the late afternoon sky. Lucas was already outside, leaning against the fence like he always used to, but now older, broader, with that same quiet presence that made my chest tighten. He looked up, and our eyes met. The moment stretched, a pause heavy with years, with everything unsaid. "You're really here," he said finally, his voice low. "I told you I'd come," I replied, though my voice wavered despite my calm. He pushed off the fence and walked toward me. Neither of us spoke for a few steps. The field smelled of hay, of warm earth, and of summer memories I couldn't name. "You look different," he said finally, "but still the same." I laughed, a little breathless. "That's what people always say." He smiled faintly. It's true, though. It's true, though. We walked together toward the barn, the sound of our footsteps crunching in rhythm with the distant lowing of cows. It was ordinary, and yet everything felt charged, like the air itself was holding its breath. "I still can't believe your mother kept my letters," I said, voice sharp with surprise. "All those years?" "I know," he said, avoiding my eyes. "I thought I'd lost you. I waited anyway. I stopped walking." "Why? How did you wait when you didn't even know if I wanted you?" I wanted to yell, to cry, to laugh all at once. We reached the barn, and he pushed open the door. Dust floated in the golden light, and the scent of hay mixed with something sweet. Fresh milk. He gestured for me to follow him to a corner where an old wooden crate sat. "I think this might belong to you," he said, lifting the lid. Inside were things I hadn't seen in years: notebooks, photos, a small collection of trinkets we had shared as teens, a tiny carved heart, a ribbon from the fair, a pressed flower. I picked up the ribbon, feeling the texture between my fingers. "You kept all of this," he shrugged. "Some things are too important to throw away." I looked up at him, and for a moment the years disappeared. The awkward distance, the misunderstandings, the long silence, all of it vanished. We were back there, laughing in the orchard, running through fields, sharing glances full of everything we didn't yet have words for. He handed me a glass of milk from a nearby jug. Warm, fresh, comforting. I held it in both hands, and he watched me like he'd never stopped noticing. "You always liked it cold," he said softly. "Now you drink it warm. That's new." I smiled. Some things change. He didn't respond. He just studied me, and I realized he was trying to read me again, the way he had once done so effortlessly. It was unsettling, beautiful, and painfully intimate all at once. "Lucas," I began, unsure where this was going. He shook his head gently. "Wait," I stopped, holding my breath. He leaned closer, and for the first time in years, he spoke without the distance we had built over time. "I never stopped thinking about you," he said. His voice was low, almost a whisper, but it carried across the barn. "Even when I had no idea if you felt the same." My heart leapt after it was too late. I wanted to speak, but nothing came. "I thought maybe you'd never come back," he continued, eyes fixed on mine. "But here you are, and I—" He stopped as if the words themselves were dangerous. The sun slipped behind the barn, painting the dust in gold and amber. I wanted to reach for him, to bridge the years in a single step, but hesitation held me back. "Lucas," I said finally, voice trembling, I've missed you." He took a step closer. "I know," he whispered, "and I've waited, but there's something else. Something I never told you." My pulse quickened. "What?" He looked down at his hands, then back at me, a flicker of uncertainty crossing his face. "When you left, I was angry. I thought you didn't care, but it wasn't that. I was scared of losing you forever." And now I stepped forward instinctively, wanting to close the distance, to erase the years of regret in a single gesture. "And now," I pressed. He swallowed, the warm light catching his eyes. "Now I don't want to waste any more time. I need to know, are we still us? Or is this just nostalgia?" The words hung between us, raw and fragile. My hands shook slightly as I set down the glass of milk. The air felt thick with anticipation, with possibility, with the weight of everything we had lost. I opened my mouth, ready to speak. But before I could say a word, his phone buzzed in his pocket. He glanced at it, his face darkening slightly. I have to take this," he said, torn. And just like that, the moment hung in limbo. Years of longing, reunion, and unsaid confessions paused on a knife's edge. I watched him walk a few steps away, heart racing. And in the silence, I realized something undeniable. Whatever this was between us, it was far from over. Lucas returned from the porch slowly, phone still in hand. He didn't speak. He just held it, his jaw tight, his jaw tight. I waited. The barn smelled of hay, warm milk, and dust. My heart pounded, each beat louder than the last. Finally, he looked at me. "There's something I need to tell you," he said. His voice was steady but quiet, the kind of calm that hides years of tension. "I'm listening," I said. He gestured toward the farmhouse. "Come with me." We walked across the field in silence. The sun dipped lower, painting the horizon orange and gold. Each step carried weight, each word unsaid, a memory pressing between us. Back inside the living room, he set the phone down. He took a deep breath. "When you left," he began, "I didn't get your letters. Not until years later. But your mother, she had them first. She didn't want me to read them." I frowned. "Why?" "She thought it was better for you, that you'd be happier without me waiting." I shook my head, stunned. "She decided for me. She never even asked me if I wanted that." Lucas nodded slowly. "I know. And I blamed you for a long time. I thought you didn't care. I hated the silence, until I realized it wasn't your choice. It was hers." I sank onto the sofa. The years of misunderstanding rushed back. My letters, never lost, just hidden. Our years apart, built on assumptions and silence. "So everything I blamed you for," I whispered, "it wasn't true." "No," he said, "not true. And I'm sorry I waited in anger instead of asking questions. I should have come after you." The air was still warm, quiet, full of things we had never said. I pulled out a letter from the box, the one I had written the night before I left. The words looked small and fragile now. "I thought you'd never come back," I said. "I thought I'd ruined it." He reached out and took my hand. His fingers were strong, familiar. "You didn't ruin it. We were just caught in the middle of someone else's plan." The room seemed smaller, closer. I felt the weight of all those lost years in one breath. "I waited," he said again. "Even when I didn't know if it would matter," I swallowed hard. "I waited too. I never stopped thinking about you. Not for one day." He looked down at our joined hands, then back at me. "Then maybe we've already waited long enough." A soft breeze rattled the window. I noticed the photograph on the mantel, Lucas as a boy, standing beside the cafe I remembered from the old letters. My mother had written a note on the back. "Keep this safe. One day she will return." My heart stuttered. She had always known, always hoped. Lucas's eyes followed mine. "Your mother. She believed in us, even when we didn't." Yeah, I nodded, feeling a mixture of awe and grief. So much had been in the dark. The letters, the assumptions, the silence. And yet here we were, face to face. "I can't believe we lost all those years," I said softly. "Me neither," he whispered. "But maybe the important thing is that we're here now." I nodded again, but a new thought struck me, sudden, sharp. "There's something else, isn't there?" He hesitated, looking toward the window. "Yes, something I didn't know how to tell you." I held my breath. He pulled a small envelope from his pocket. It was old, yellowed at the edges. "Your father left this with me before he passed. He said you should have it when the time was right." My hand shook as I took it. I opened it slowly. Inside was a letter from my father, words I hadn't expected to read. "I was wrong to keep things from you. I thought I was protecting you. I thought I was protecting. But protection is not love. Only truth can set you free. Trust your heart." I looked at Lucas. "All this time, all of it. My life was guided by other people's choices, not mine." He nodded. "And now it isn't. Now it's yours." I felt tears welling, but they didn't fall. Instead, something deeper took root. Clarity, warmth, hope. "I don't know what to do first," I said. "Start with me." He said softly, "We have years to catch up on, and we can do it together, if you want." I opened my mouth to answer, but then the door creaked. Martha entered with a tray of milk, warm and comforting. She smiled gently, but her eyes held a question one only time would answer. I looked back at Lucas. The room felt small, the world outside irrelevant. Everything depended on the next choice. And I realized for the first time in years I had to decide. Would I step into the past and reclaim it with him? Or would I let the fragments remain and walk away? The answer hovered between us, fragile and real, as the golden light of evening spilled across the room. I held the letter from my father in my hands, the words settling in my chest like a quiet warmth. Lucas was beside me, silent, letting the moment stretch without rushing it. "You were right," I whispered. It's all about truth, not assumptions, not silence. He nodded, fingers brushing mine again. And now we have it. All of it. Outside, the sun had almost disappeared, leaving the sky a wash of pink and orange. The farmhouse smelled of fresh bread and warm milk. Milk, a comfort I hadn't realized I'd been missing all these years. I can't believe how much time we wasted, I said softly. Me neither, Lucas admitted. But we can't change the past. We can only move forward. I looked at him, really looked at him, at the way the light caught his eyes, at the gentle curve of his smile, at the quiet strength I had loved all along. My heart thudded with something steady, something real. I want to move forward, I said. With you! His smile widened, and he took my hands in both of his. I want that too, more than anything. We sat together on the porch as twilight settled. Martha came out with 2 glasses of milk. She placed them on the railing and gave us a knowing smile. Drink, she said softly. Life's better when you share it. I lifted the glass and took a sip. Warm, familiar, simple. The taste of home. The taste of new beginnings. I looked at Lucas, and he did the same. We talked until the stars appeared, each word flowing easily, each laugh filling the spaces that had once been empty. The years apart didn't vanish, but they didn't matter anymore. We had found each other again. Later, as night deepened, I went back inside and found the wooden box of letters still on the desk. One envelope I hadn't opened caught my eye. It was addressed to me in Lucas's handwriting, folded neatly. Waiting. I opened it carefully. If you ever come back, know that I never stopped believing in us. The milk, the fields, the quiet moments, they're ours. Whatever happens, I'll be here, always. My eyes blurred, but I smiled. Even in the years we were apart, he had never let go. I put the letter down and glanced out the window. Lucas was leaning against the porch railing, looking at the stars, calm and certain. I realized something. The farm, the letters, the milk, even the lost years. They were all part of a story that had been waiting for the right moment to bring us together. I stepped outside. He turned at the sound of my footsteps. I have something for you, too, I said, reaching into my bag. I pulled out the small carved heart we had made as kids. He laughed softly, the sound echoing in the quiet night. You kept it? All these years? I did, I said, because some things are meant to return. He took the heart from me, holding it carefully as if it were fragile. Then he slipped it into his pocket. Then we can start again, from here, from us. I felt a wave of relief, joy, and love I hadn't known I could feel all at once. It wasn't perfect. The past had scars. But those scars had brought us to this moment. We stood together, hands brushing, hearts quiet but full. Outside, the fireflies danced, tiny sparks of light floating in the darkness. And then, in a final, almost poetic gesture, Lucas reached behind him and pulled a small key from his pocket, the one taped in the drawer the day I arrived. This opens the little shed by the orchard, he said. There's something I saved for the 2 of us, something I hoped you'd find. Curious, I followed him to the shed. He unlocked the door. Inside, the room was filled with jars of milk, old photographs, letters, and memories we had shared. But in the center, a small wooden plaque read, Where love waits, hearts return. I looked at Lucas, and he smiled softly, eyes glimmering with quiet happiness. Then let's not wait anymore, he said. I nodded, feeling my heart settle in a way it never had before. The years of distance, confusion, and hidden truths were behind us. We had found our way back together. The night wrapped around the farm. The stars above seemed to shine a little brighter. And in that moment, I understood. Some journeys take time, but the ones worth it always end where they were meant to. I took Lucas's hand in mine. We're finally home, I said. Yes, he whispered, finally. And for the first time in years, I believed it.